The House will come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Seth Castle, Garrett Hendrickson, Christian Chase, and Owen Walsh from Thompson Valley High School, guests of Representative Weinberg. Mr. Schiebel, please call the roll.
Representatives Armagost, Bacon, Barone, Byrd, Basenecker, Bottoms, Representative Bottoms,
Excused.
Bradfield, Bradley, Brooks, Brown, Representative Brown,
Excused.
Caldwell, Camacho, Carter, Clifford, DeGraff, Duran, English, Espinoza, Foray, Froelich, Garcia, Sander, Gilchrist, Gonzalez, Hamrick, Hartsook, Johnson, Joseph, Kelty, Leader, Lindsay, Linstead, Luck, Lukens,
Here.
Mabry, Representative Mabry,
Excused.
Marshall, Martinez, Morrow, McCormick, Rep. McCormick, Pascal, Representative Pascal,
Excused.
Phillips, Puglisi, Richardson, Ricks, Rutnell, Ryden, Sirota, Rep. Sirota,
Excused.
Smith, Soper is excused. Stewart K, Stewart R, Story, Sukla, Taggart, Rep. Taggart,
Excused.
Titone, Valdez A, Velasco, Weinberg, Wilford, Winter, Woodrow, Woog, Zokai, and Madam Speaker.
Here. With 59 present, 5 excused, 1 vacancy, we do have a quorum. Representative Brooks, bring us home. It is Friday.
Yeah, it is Friday. Good morning. Happy Friday, Madam Speaker.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Colleagues, happy Friday. I haven't really made a big deal of reading the Journal this week. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to follow in the shoes of my colleague, Representative Barone, but today being Friday, I am going to do a little bit more with it. I'm going to encourage an aye vote from everybody, right? Can we go out into the weekend with a good, strong aye vote? This is what's at stake. On the board, we have visual aids. This is what we're eyeing for today is the visual aid. Right?
Oh.
How can we not eye to puppies? Everybody wants to give an eye. That's something we can all agree on, right? A big eye for puppies. Everybody, you get a puppy. You get a puppy. Everybody, they're in the majority leader's office right now. She wants everybody to get a puppy. So with that, Madam Speaker, I move that the Journal of Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Representative Brooks, that was an excellent effort, and I'm a big puppy fan, so you've got my vote. Members, you've heard the motion that the journal be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. We'll have to try kittens next week. The ayes have it, the motion is adopted. Members, announcements real quick. Thank you for that, Representative. We will not be going to announcements and introductions. My apologies. We do have business today, members. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for the consideration of resolutions.
Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for consideration of resolutions. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 004.
Senate Joint Resolution 4 by Senators Cutter and Michelson, and also Representatives Garcia and Froelich, concerning the designation of January 22nd as Reproductive Rights and Justice Day.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
Madam Speaker, I move for the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 25004.
So moved. Please proceed. Representative Garcia.
Madam Speaker, it slays to serve with you.
It is slays to serve with you as well.
Members, I am honored to be here standing with my colleagues to talk about what freedom and what American values that we all hold dear mean. The importance of the resolution and commemorating what would have been the 52nd anniversary of Roe v. Wade weighs heavy on us today. As the co-chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus of Colorado, I'm proud that we can designate January 22nd of each year as Reproductive Rights and Justice Day. Reproductive justice exists when all individuals have the power, the self-determination to make healthy decisions about their bodies. If and when we start to grow our families and our relationships, reproductive oppression exists when our bodily autonomy is robbed from us through policy rooted in sexism, lack of respect for women, and disempowerment. The reproductive justice movement came out of an acknowledgement that women of color are often hurt most by the attacks on our rights as individuals and as communities, when our voices and experiences have been left out of the mainstream reproductive rights initiatives. As a leader and advocate for reproductive justice, for people of color, for decades, I know Coloradans and the American public support access to abortion care across racial, gender, and party lines. Support for abortion access has been strong since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022, and the highest support for abortion access has continued, even increased over the last 2 years. As the late Cecile Richards said, abortions didn't start with Roe, and they also won't end. We stand here today honoring the fight for safe access to abortion. Laws that restrict access do not protect anyone. They only cause harm to women and families. We all know that voters in Colorado just enshrined the right to abortion care in our state constitution. Amendment 79 won 62 out of our 65 House districts. And today, we honor the past and keep our vision towards the future for abortion care access for all. We've always known that Roe set the floor and not the ceiling, so we are continuing to fight to advance protections for abortion providers and those seeking abortion and other reproductive health care in Colorado, and I am proud to work alongside members of the General Assembly, the Women's Caucus, to ensure that Colorado remains a leader in protecting our freedom. Voters spoke, and they spoke loudly. And it is essential that we uphold the will of the people and implement the will of the voters in light of new federal administration who has been targeting reproductive rights and access for decades. We need policies that support the entirety of a person, including better access to hospitals, clinics, healthcare provided by people our communities trust, insurance that actually covers our real needs, and policies that support families and individuals to live their fullest lives. We can stand here proudly as Coloradans because we will remain a stronghold that upholds the true meaning of freedom and what it means to be an American. We will not allow anyone to get in the way of any of us to make our own decisions about our bodies, our futures, and our lives. Thank you for standing up for freedom, for reproductive rights, and for the value of free will. Thank you.
Representative Bradley.
Are y'all coming down? Are y'all coming down? Are y'all not coming down? Yeah. Absolutely do. Yeah. Is Dusty starting? Is Dusty starting?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm proud with my caucus to stand for the sanctity of life. In a state where we have no limits on the killing of babies, that is simply just not enough. Today we have to celebrate it yet again. Most of this body celebrated it with the Speaker on opening day, and again, the majority of this body celebrated it during the Governor's State of the State address. To make it even more grievous for me, the day the Governor spoke of living in the free state of Colorado, for everyone but the unborn, was my daughter's Angel Day. Emerson Riley Bradley was a beautifully and perfectly made baby who died in my womb. Many in this body attempt to diminish the significance of my baby and of my family's loss by saying she was just a clump of cells, when in fact she was as alive as anyone in this room. I watched her beautiful body be molded with its perfectly functional organs, including her heart, which beat from 4 weeks until the day she died. I will say it again louder for the people in the back. For her to have a beating heart and for that heart to stop beating means she was alive, just like any other being we give life to. Emerson was so loved in her short life. Her dad and I washed all of her clothes, carefully cut off each tag so as not to disturb her newborn skin. We decorated her nursery with attention to every single detail and made sure to carefully put her car seat into my car to make sure she would be safe and protected. We were 4 short weeks away from delivering our beautiful daughter, 10 fingers, 10 toes, and a strong beating heart when the unimaginable happened. We delivered a beautiful and perfect little girl that we held and said goodbye to, a baby that we desperately wanted and had prayed for many, many years. And in an instant, my life went from extreme joy to an unbearable and excruciating pain that no human should ever have to bear. And I began wondering how I would be able to get out of bed every morning and put one foot in front of the other. And even 18 years later, I still have many days like this. It is hard to accept the fact that in a state in which I live and where I'm raising 4 young men, my daughter could have been legally killed at the same time, just 4 short weeks from her delivery date, or even up until the day she was supposed to be born. In this so-called free state of Colorado, we protect almost everything more than we protect babies. We protect chicken eggs and wolves. even more than we protect our own little ones. And as you stand with thunderous applause for the murder of innocent children, I ask you to think about what you are communicating to the women in Colorado desperately praying to start a family of their own, the women who will never have a baby of their own, the women struggling with infertility, the many women in our state mourning a miscarriage or 2 or 3, or a stillbirth, or a baby who died upon birth. To those women I say, I see you and I feel your grief. To you in this room, I ask you to remember those of us mothers still grieving the loss of something that this state has characterized as a clump of cells. I ask you to remember the siblings of these babies and the many fathers grieving the loss of our babies and the lives that will never be lived. And for some reason, God has kept me in this state, and I have to deal with some of the most radical abortion laws in this country. In fact, only 3 states, including Colorado, allow abortion up until the moment of birth. Only 3. And when people have the audacity to tell me that late-term abortions are not happening in our state, then I ask them, why in the world would we have a radical law to allow it if it wasn't happening? Because the truth is that it is happening. And if that wasn't far enough, the state has now enshrined this into our Constitution and has allowed minors to get abortions without even getting parental consent. I will make an informed guess that if the shoe were on the other foot and a constitutional amendment to allow 12-year-olds to purchase handguns without parental consent were to pass, many in this body would lose their minds arguing that youth are unable to make proper decisions about such items. Yet it's somehow, in good old-fashioned hypocrisy in this case, 12-year-olds have the brain function to understand the ramifications of feticide and the lifelong repercussions of possible sterility. Does this body take into account that 60% of post-abortive women report having wanted their child but felt coerced to have an abortion? Does that sound like choice to you? I will tell you, I will continue to fight against the false narratives that my daughter in my belly was not a life. And I will continue to fight to celebrate her life and the lives of millions of babies slaughtered every year under the guise of reproductive rights. I prayed this morning that the people in this chamber would listen to me with open ears and open hearts and hear a different perspective. There are women in your districts grieving and mourning the loss of their babies while they watch their representatives stand in thunderous applause for the slaughter of innocent lives. Let me be very clear. Colorado is not a pro-choice state. To be able to make a choice, one must be given all the information necessary to make that choice. Yet in Colorado, our policies actively work to deny her access to that information. Do we encourage her to acquire an ultrasound of her child before aborting it? No. Perhaps because an overwhelming majority of women keep their children after they see and hear that tiny heart beating on the screen. Do we suggest she look to the various community organizations, and God bless you, you're doing God's work, that exist to help her navigate the uncertainties of an unplanned pregnancy? No. Instead, Colorado demonizes those groups and cuts women off from seeking out their aid. Those are some of the ways we could help women make an informed choice. But let's be honest, we are not a pro-choice state. We are a pro-death state. Please let that be your lesson. No matter how you try to spin this or wrap it up with a pretty little bow, what we are celebrating today is death. You celebrate the intentional ending of life for the most vulnerable among us. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning to the people of the former Free State of Colorado. It is with profound reverence for the supreme ruler of the universe in order to form a more independent and perfect government, establish justice, ensure tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, that I assert my support for the Constitution of the State of Colorado and for the United States of America, and for this Sanctity of Life Month. Sanctity of Life Month is a good time to review our purpose of government, that to secure these rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. Life is the first of these rights. Now, life and these rights are only found as a right in our Declaration of Independence, that golden apple set in a setting of silver, as noted by Abraham Lincoln. It's the only that place that we have these rights. And it's very important that we enshrine them. So today we're talking about reproductive justice, and euphemistically it is being used to murder the people that have been, the humans, the people that have been reproduced. Reproductive justice, I just heard, is when all get to make their determinations about bodily autonomy. But in the act of feticide, only one makes that determination. Often coerced, often manipulated, often abused. Now, nothing unifies the death cult like the rending of an preborn human into saleable parts. And that is a dark day for America. Martin Luther King observed that the first principle of value that we need to rediscover is this, that all reality hinges on moral foundations. In other words, that this is a moral universe and that there are moral laws of this universe just as abiding as the physical laws. And again, that gets into our declaration, the laws of nature and nature's God. And when we look to our rights, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They are premised on a Creator. And if we do not have that Creator, we have no rights. If we deny these rights to one, we deny these rights to all. So while you're celebrating the feticide of the unborn, of the preborn humans that would make up Colorado, who should be counted as citizens of the United States with all the rights and privileges, you celebrate their rending, their chemical burning, their suffocation, with laws that say anytime, any means, any reason. Medical experimentation, done. Sale of parts, done. Everything is legal. By removing the rights of one, you remove the rights of all. Rights are either all for one or none for all. And we need to be very careful. MLK did observe that you cannot legislate morality, but neither can you make the immoral moral through legislation or celebration. And don't worry, I'm not presuming to speak on behalf of women, although I could identify one and you would celebrate that. I'm speaking on behalf of the preborn, because I was once a preborn. So I can speak on behalf of the preborn. It is a morally twisted world where murder of the unborn is called reproductive care, an emergency medical treatment. In fact, pregnancy is now an emergency crisis. We could delve into the detail of how over 99% of the feticides are a result of using procreation as recreation, encouraged through the books found in ratedbooks.org, curated in our libraries and kept there by bills like SB 24-216 to make sure our kids are hyped up on hormones for the entire time. But what I want to focus on is this part of the resolution. Whereas Colorado voters defeated fetal personhood amendments, which are total abortion bans. Interesting language. The numbers are not important. The reason for this tortured discrimination is the Constitution itself, because you want to avoid the inconvenience of the 5th and 14th Amendments. 5th Amendment, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. Solution, remove personhood. 14th Amendment, nor shall any state derive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. Solution, remove personhood. Except here's the thing. You did not remove personhood. You refused to extend personhood. So you link personhood to the right of life, but personhood is never conferred on you, any of you. Personhood is recognized, but it's never conferred. So you have to ask yourself, what makes a person? Where does that come from? Does that come from government? Does that come from people? If it comes from government, if it comes from this body, you're in trouble. All of Colorado is in deep trouble. Because let's look at the history of democracy, which is mob rule. And the difference between democracy and a republic is that a republic protects the individual from the mob, a democracy will feed him to it. That's the difference. So I'd like to paraphrase Abraham Lincoln in a set of books that I found in my father-in-law's basement. I read once in a law book, a slave is a human being who is legally not a person, but a thing. And if the safeguards to liberty are broken down, as is now attempted, when they have made things of all the unborn humans, how long, think you, before they will make things out of you? Colorado, your rights are in jeopardy. Yes, there was a constitutional amendment passed. It is in complete contradiction to our founding documents. Militarily, it would be the equivalent of an illegal order. When you consider an unborn person, an unborn human, to be not a person but a thing, and commit an act wholly in violation of the laws of nature and nature's God, by which I mean the human body, our entire physiology is driven for the purpose of reproduction. That's our physiology. Now we have a mind on top of that. When we look in nature, nature protects life at all costs. The analogy of the mama bear, who you just listened to, is one that will rip your head off if you mess with the life of her cubs. This body wants to celebrate the rending of it into saleable parts. When you create an act wholly in violation of the laws of nature and nature of God, it is only a matter of time before they make a thing out of you. And I would argue that this government, the socialist ideology that rejects a creator, has made a thing out of you. It does not recognize your rights. It recognizes privileges that is given to you, and what government giveth, government can taketh away, and you better believe that every day this body is in session, it is trying to take that away. These rights will not be just given away with your permission, but with your blessing and sanction. Colorado, we stepped onto a very dangerous, steep, slippery slope. There is a film at the process of feticide called A Silent Scream, where the unborn child recoils from the mechanical maw of the violating the child's former sanctuary and opening his or her
Representative
mouth.
DeGraff, you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A silent scream as that mechanical vice clamps down, twists free, one limb after another. MLK encouraged us that the long arc of history bends towards justice, and I can only hope so. So what is the difference between a human and a person? I would say that unborn humans are people too. And to quote a favorite political scientist, don't give up, I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small. And you very small persons do not have to die if you make yourselves heard, so come now and try. Since they can't cry for themselves, I'll cry for them. We need to support the unborn, not celebrate their murder.
Representative Bottoms.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I've often wondered about this. I understand scripturally how to define this context, a people that kill their own babies. I understand the spiritual context of that, the scriptural context of it, but I don't understand the practical. In my brain, this doesn't connect. A people that kill their own children. I don't understand that. It literally doesn't make sense. Recently, in my church, I was dedicating a baby. And basically what we do when we dedicate a baby is we're actually dedicating the parents and the family. So they bring the baby up, and there's some things that we do that I think are pretty cool. And I also sometimes if the baby doesn't look like it's going crazy, I'll try to hold the baby while I pray for it. So Mom gave me the baby, and holding the baby, and I start to pray for the baby, and my microphone is right here, and the baby's head's right here, and she says something, and she realizes that her voice just got very loud across this room. Catches her, I'm trying to talk to God, and she starts having a conversation in that microphone. And so I stopped because I realized at that point, at least from my perspective, I think God was enjoying the conversation with the baby more than he was enjoying the conversation with me. And then I think to myself, people try to define this as a clump of cells. I don't understand it. I don't understand the level of self and depravity you have to get to see that as a clump of cells and think, let's kill it. I don't understand that. I had a new grandbaby born Christmas Day. Very premature, like 4 pounds something. Asked my wife what that number is. And went over to see it a week and a half ago, and she's huge now. She's 7 pounds. She's growing like crazy. But I was gonna hold hands with the baby, tiny, tiny, tiny little hands. Puts out her hands, and Mom stops me, makes me go shower. I think put on a nuclear hazard suit and all kinds of stuff so I could hold the baby's hand. And she grabbed onto my finger, and her hand doesn't even go all the way around my finger. And baby's skin is so soft, so amazingly soft. And I'm sitting there holding my new granddaughter's hand, and I'm thinking of all the different little babies still in the womb. She should still have been in the womb when I was holding her hand. And in Colorado, we're allowed to kill her. And I'm sitting there holding her little hand, and she's a biracial baby. And I'm thinking of all the little black kids, little brown kids, little white kids, and their tiny little hands and their very, very tender skin. And then I think, we define that as a clump of cells. We define that as not a person. I've even heard people define it as something akin to a tumor that is pulling the life away from Mom. I don't understand a society that gets to that point. I understand spiritually what it means and how you get to that point. It's the bottom of the bottom spiritually. It is the depravity of humanity. I just don't understand practically how you look at a baby and you say, let's kill it. I don't understand it. But I do know that God is very concerned about these little babies and their conversations. And I read out of Psalms 127, verse 3, that says, children are a gift from the Lord. I think we're coming to a time very quickly when God's done and he's had enough. And I am very worried about that day because we will all be held accountable for murdering his little children.
Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Due to the way that we do resolutions in this building, we don't have opportunity to receive public comment, at least not in an oral form. Last night I received testimony from an OBGYN, and she asked that I read it to this body today. She says, I am testifying against Senate Joint Resolution 25004, which is proposing that January 22nd be designated as Reproductive Rights and Justice Day. As a female board-certified OBGYN of reproductive age, who has taken care of tens of thousands of patients and delivered over 3,000 babies, I can testify that reproductive rights and justice does not include abortion. Abortion unjustly takes the lives of 2 million more female babies than male babies every year around the world. Also, abortion harms women. I have treated hundreds of women who had complications directly related to abortion. Recently, I had a patient come to the hospital ER with severe hemorrhaging and pain after an abortion. She could not receive the post-procedure care she needed from her abortion center. I had to administer blood, antibiotics, and perform surgery to save her life. She was in tears, asking why she was not told about the risks of abortion. All too often, this same scenario occurs. Did you know that having had one abortion increases your risk of getting breast cancer by 40%? Abortion also causes an 81% increased risk of having a chronic mental health condition like depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Abortion leads to a 36% increased risk of future preterm birth if the mother can conceive again. And abortion can lead to permanent uterine damage requiring hospitalization, surgery, blood, and IV antibiotic infusions, even can lead to death. True reproductive rights and justice include ending abortion and the harmful effects of abortion on women. True women's health care and justice supports women with unintended pregnancies to make a decision to continue their pregnancy for their own health and safety. We can do much better in the state of Colorado than calling a harmful and deadly procedure a right. This resolution must be stopped, and women inside and outside of the womb must be given the true support and justice they need to carry out their lives and pregnancies with strength. Choose to stand up for women and vote no on this resolution. Some in this room might say that the people of Colorado have spoken, and we all should just get in line with the recent ballot initiative that put into Colorado's Constitution this so-called right. I will note as an aside that the very resolution we are debating today does demonstrate a trend in the pro-life direction. If you didn't note, there are 5 ballot initiatives that are laid out, 4 of which are for pro-life measures. A pro-life measure in 2008, one in 2010, one in 2014, and one in 2020. In 2008, the support for the pro-life position was only around 26%. By 2020, it was over 41%. It had slowly grown over that 12-year period. This last year, despite all of the rhetoric and narratives at the national and state level, and despite an outrageous disparity between the number of dollars that were spent to promote this initiative, not clearly, not as if to say what we're allowing for is unregulated, complete access to abortion up until the moment that child takes breath outside of the womb. No, the campaign to support Amendment 79 was very nuanced, only to present as if we were giving those couples in very rare circumstances the ability to deal with this problem, I guess, as it was presented. It wasn't the full picture. And the people of Colorado didn't actually get the other side of the story because, as I said, there was a disparity in funding. But when I talk to people and say, did you know this is what it includes? They don't know that that is what it includes. But despite all of that, despite the dollars, the media, the press, the government, the everything, schools, everywhere we look saying reproductive rights, reproductive rights, reproductive rights, it was only passed by 38%. It didn't even go back down to the 2008 standard of 26. The people are waking up to the reality that life matters and that people become people the moment they are conceived. But despite that, I'm sure a number of folks will say, look at those Republicans upending the will of the people or resisting the will of the people. And I just want to hearken back to another Republican from the early 1940s. He was the governor at the time, Governor Carr, He was one of the only voices throughout this entire country who said that Japanese Americans were people too, and that the orders coming out of the US government, of which he should have submitted to under the Supremacy Clause, were unjust and unconstitutional because they refused to acknowledge the personhood of an entire class of people. Now, he knew the political risks of that. In fact, he received letters telling him, in your bid for state or US Senate, which he was in at the time, the only thing on people's mouths right now is if you allow the Japanese to come to Colorado, which he was proposing, to allow Colorado to be a sanctuary state for those Japanese around this country so that they were not interned, that his political career would be over. And his political career ended. He lost his bid for US Senate to a Democrat senator who used that very issue of him allowing for Japanese to be considered as people under the Constitution and afforded all of the same rights of citizenship. Seems not much has changed. I cannot abide this particular resolution. And so with that, I move, Madam Speaker, Amendment L002 to Senate Joint Resolution 004 and ask that it be displayed.
That is a proper motion. It is displayed. Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is, for all intents and purposes, a strike below of the resolution that you have before you. I will read the additional language that I'm adding into basically after the first page. I'm striking lines 1 through 3 on the first page and the latter part of lines 9 through 10, and adding, whereas the sanctity of human life is a foundational principle, affirming the inherent dignity and worth of every human being, regardless of age, size, ability, location, or stage of development. And whereas human reproduction is the most sacred of responsibilities given to us by God, and preserving the right to reproduce life is of the highest order for any society. And whereas abortion intentionally ends the life of an innocent, living, distinct from the mother, whole, vulnerable human being, and thereby halts the reproductive process. And whereas Colorado has a vested interest in protecting the lives of all people within its boundaries and growing its population. And whereas vulnerable women, especially those facing difficult circumstances, including unintended or complicated pregnancies, financial hardship, abandonment, and lack of support or societal pressure, are often coerced into making decisions they may not otherwise make, particularly regarding abortion. And whereas we acknowledge that issues of justice, equality, and the protection of marginalized groups should not be used as a justification for ending innocent lives, but instead should be used to advocate for policies that empower women to have information and resources to truly make an informed, supported choice for both mothers and their preborn children. And whereas we imagine a future in which every child has the chance to live and thrive, free from the threat of abortion, and where Coloradans embrace policies that uplift life, justice, and the fundamental right to exist. Now, therefore, and then it's the be it resolved language, and I'm adding, instead of what is presently there, reject the designation of January 22nd as Reproductive Rights and Justice Day, and instead propose a day of remembrance and advocacy, recognizing January 22nd as Sanctity of Human Life Day, and resolve to advance legislative efforts that protect the preborn and recognize their right to life as written in the 14th Amendment of the US Constitution, and that reflect our duty to protect and uphold the dignity of every single human being. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, a genocide has been completed or has been occurring in our land for the past 50 plus years. 63 million people are not here and their progeny because we have allowed for their lives to be taken. It is a genocide, make no mistake, and history will record it as such. History will record it as such. 63 million people. Perhaps you should thank God that you're not one of them. I ask for an aye on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll ask for an aye vote for this amendment. As possibly a very futile attempt to try to wrest, to wrangle, to extract some semblance of morality out of a day that euphemistically calls murder care. 63 million preborn humans and their progeny. Now, my colleague said allowed, but I don't think allowed is the right word because active participant is the word for this body. Active participant, promoter, hawker of death. And again, I would say nothing motivates the death cult like the rending of a preborn human into saleable parts. And my colleague noted that the 63 million, that how this bill was passed with very veiled language about very extreme circumstances that apply to maybe 0.5% of all feticides in the country. And be sure what we're talking about is feticide, because abortion is a natural process whereby the life inside the mother, when it has died, then there's the process of abortion, which is ending a non-viable pregnancy. What we're talking about here is feticide. Feticide where the umbilical cord is cut and the baby is bled out, asphyxiated. That could be done chemically. Perhaps a clamp is inserted into the inner sanctum of that infant, and the unborn human is ripped limb from limb. That was called drawn and quartering. Considered cruel and unusual punishment. In this case, the punishment is being preborn and perhaps unwanted. 63 million lives ended brutally, chemically, mechanically. So again, I'm speaking on behalf of the preborn because I'm happily on this side of what is rapidly becoming the most dangerous place for children in the entire country, if not the entire world. The most dangerous place where children can be murdered with the sanction of the state, with the applause of this body. So we all took an oath on day one, and that oath was to support the Constitution of the United States and Colorado. And again, that oath to those constitutions, really we could say it's a golden apple set inside a setting of silver in another setting of silver, because our Constitution does not allow us to violate the Constitution of the United States. And I think this bill, the amendment that we've so ghastly put into our Constitution violates that. And this amendment this resolution makes it even worse. The purpose of government is to secure these rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The order of those rights, among which we are endowed, Creator endowed, the first of these is life. After which we have liberty and pursuit of happiness, because liberty and pursuit of happiness mean nothing without life. And a body that would celebrate the stripping of the right to life certainly holds no sanctity for liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And in denying life to one, life is denied to all. When you declare a person to be not a person, when you declare a human, to be not a person but a thing, you put the entire best hope of freedom and liberty in this world, and you put it in jeopardy. I know they made the point about health care. How is health care ending a life? The Hippocratic Oath, which is the founding of our kind of Western medical, or a lot of it, forbade the abortifacient, a chemical process by which to terminate a pregnancy. And in the same sentence, Hippocrates said he would not support euthanasia because he recognized that those two go together. The death cult starts on one end, in the secrecy and in the darkness, and on the other end, and then works towards the middle. If you're not sure about that, you could take the words of Jacques Cousteau in 1992, who spoke the words on behalf of UNESCO, the UN. We need to eliminate 350,000 people per day. So if you think your rights are safe in the hands of the people that would deny it to the unborn and then deny it to the elderly and infirmed, you have not learned from history, and history is a warning from our past or our future. So I support this amendment because we need to overcome this very ghastly celebration of the rending of preborn humans into tiny parts. Sometimes not even into tiny parts. Sometimes it's delivering preborn humans directly into the hands of a butcher to have the organs removed, to have the very human organs removed, or for medical experimentation. This body celebrates that. Any method, any reason, any time. Sell the child? Any reason. Medical experimentation? Any reason. Any is a very broad word. We have an opportunity here with this amendment to turn Colorado's celebration of death into a celebration and appreciation of life. Honestly, I don't have a lot of hope as to which way this will go. But a person's a person, no matter how small. And you very small persons will not have to die. You just have to make yourselves heard. So come now and try.
Representative Bottoms.
The statements made by Representative earlier from down south, I think if I have to crash and burn politically, it's going to be for kids. If I lose any kind of political credibility, which I don't think is possible with this, I think it's the other way around. There are too many people saying, stop killing our babies. But if I have to, if I'm going to crash and burn on something, it's not going to be over taxes. It's going to be over babies. And so I strongly support this amendment. I'm going to defend babies. I'm going to defend little kids. That's my biggest issue. To me, there's not that much separation there. Murdering the baby in the womb and all the things we're doing to the kids outside the womb. We've got to stop this. We've got to stop this. And we keep talking about this mandate, but I think we're seeing that people are done with this. I think we're seeing that people are tired of messing with their kids. And so we'll see. We'll see how that affects my side politically. Right after I got elected the first time, I had a Republican sit down with me and say, okay, Bottoms, you ran a great campaign. Now you need to tone down the rhetoric on abortion, because that's the only way you can really be effective in this building. And not only did I find that extremely offensive, it's not rhetoric. This is my walk with God. This is my spiritual stance, and I will never tone this down because babies are being killed and we're celebrating. I watched last year when champagne was popped because of this. That's the height of disgusting. And I'm going to fight for babies at every step of the way. So I urge an aye vote on this amendment.
Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you to the good representative from down south for bringing this amendment. I will also be an incredible aye vote. 63 million babies being killed. Anywhere else this is happening, we would be outraged. We would be fighting in outrage. But because we continue to change the terms and put rights and justice in it, we can rationalize it. That's insanity. That is the definition of insanity to me. In the free state of Colorado, I don't even know how many times our governor said it. Colorado has a vested interest in protecting the lives of all people. Didn't we just have a press release or a press conference talking about that very same thing in this building? Protecting people? Isn't that why we're so mad about the new administration? So who do we pick that gets protected? Some get protected and others don't. 63 million babies being slaughtered. So we get to pick and choose who's protected? Come on. I just listened to 2 days worth of SMART Act hearings. I listened to HICPUF and CDPHE and other departments talking about how we need to protect vulnerable women, especially those in this amendment this would protect, facing difficult circumstances, including unintended or complicated pregnancies. We have doula services, pregnancy services that CDPHE and HICPUF are paying for to get babies here alive. How hypocritical. All under the guise of reproductive justice and rights? And the New York Times just came out with an article about the unborn babies. So now they're unborn babies? Come on, guys, we gotta get on the same page. They're babies, they're lives, and we should protect them in this state. We have the most radical abortion laws. Can't pick and choose who we protect. And I think the good representative from El Paso, gonna compliment you, said it the best. Rights are either for all or they're none for all. Because I know we're gonna hear many, many bills come in this session talking about rights for this group and rights for this group. I don't wanna hear it if you don't give rights to the most vulnerable, which are babies. I urge an aye vote on this amendment.
Representative DeGraff, this is your second and final time to speak. You have 2 minutes and 12 seconds remaining.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't need that time. I just wanted to help provide a transition for the people of Colorado, since we've made our piece on the, made our points on the, on our view on the sanctity of life and the opportunity that we have here to be a culture of either life or death. Choose you this day. Make sure that you make a good choice, because we'll all be measured, we'll all be weighed. Pray that you don't be found wanting. But as part of the transition, I just wanted to let everybody, let the people of Colorado know who are listening, that the fetal harvesting industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. This bill is to support the fetal, this resolution is to support, applaud, and promote the fetal harvesting industry, the rending of a preborn human into saleable parts. And you'll now be hearing from the representatives.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and colleagues, I just respectfully request a no vote on this amendment.
Seeing no further, Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to close out this amendment, I want to talk to a group in this building, more than likely, as well as anyone who's listening. The data tells us that 1 out of every 4 people is post-abortive. It's not 1 out of every 4 women, it's 1 every 4 people. Because men can be post-abortive too, because they were half of the reproductive process. And I want to speak to those people under this particular amendment, because one of the reasons why there is an 81% mental health impact, mental health harm, right? Post-aborted folks have report having 81% greater likelihood of different issues like that. Testimony I read said, my apologies for the confusion, but in any case, one of the reasons is because there is doubt, there is struggle, there is grief. There is a lack of forgiveness to oneself. And people are walking around wounded in a society that praises something that they internally feel is not praiseworthy, and they can't resolve the cognitive dissonance. And so I want to talk to those people and say to them, Sanctity of Human Life Day applies to you too. There may be these voices in your head that says, I am now unworthy, I am now unforgivable. That's a lie. And your life matters. The lives of women matter. The lives of men matter. The lives of the next generation matter. The lives of our minority communities, which are disproportionately marketed to. Look up Margaret Sanger and her legacy and why she did what she did in promoting abortion into the feminist movement when it wasn't there initially in the first round. Our communities matter. We are facing demographic winter, and we are seeing it when we look at school chairs that are empty, when we look at jobs where we don't have enough people to fill the workforce. The natural consequence of this policy is death in every area. Let us embrace life. Human lives of all kinds, regardless of situation, regardless of past choices, matter. And for those who are amongst the walking wounded, know that there are many out there who want to come alongside you and hear your story and grieve with you and help you to find healing. And I hope as part of this, of commemorating life instead of death, we bring you one step closer to that place. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of Amendment L002 to Senate Joint Resolution 004. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Lukens, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Lukens votes no. Representatives Gonzalez and Woog will both be excused and fined $3 for missing the vote. Please close the machine. With 19 aye, 41 no, 4 excused, and 1 vacancy, the amendment fails. We are back to the question. The motion before us is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 004. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Lukens, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Representative Lukens votes yes. Representative Weinberg, thank you. Please close the machine. With 42 aye, 18 no, 4 excused, and 1 vacancy, Senate Joint Resolution 004 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Lukens, co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Members, we are going to stand in a very brief recess so that we can fix this microphone.
Okay, testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Is it crackling? I don't hear it. Yeah. I think it was just. Well, I tested that this morning, but I didn't hear it. But let me just try some. It's on 1 2 1 2. I don't hear any crackling. Okay. Sorry, guys.
The House will come back to order. Members, thank you. Want to thank our amazing staff for coming to the rescue. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the following bills be made special orders on January 24th, 2025 at 10:20 a.m. We have House Bill 1054, House Bill 1029, House Bill 1076, House Bill 1019, House Bill 1058, and House Bill 1015.
Seeing no objection, the bills listed by the Majority Leader will be made special orders on January 24th at 10:20 a.m. Assistant Majority Leader Bacon. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Assistant Majority Leader Bacon will take the chair.
You know, I don't. All right. The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the court rule is relaxed. Okay. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1054.
House Bill 1054 by Representative Basenecker, also Senators Peltonar and Gonzalez, concerning repealing the requirement that the Legislative Audit Committee cause to be conducted performance reviews of the automobile inspection and readjustment program every 5 years.
Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, sir.
I move House Bill 1054.
Before you discuss the bill, members, we have business. To the bill, Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bill is relatively simple in nature. This is a Legislative Audit Committee bill. The Office of the State Auditor determined that the audit requirement specified in House Bill 1054 is redundant and expensive. The bill would allow the state auditor to keep its authority to audit this AIR program if needed, while removing the current requirement that the audit be conducted every 5 years. CDPHE continually evaluates this AIR program as well, but quite frankly, the audit has been in place since the year 2000. Initially, there was some helpful audit findings. In recent years, it's only yielded 1 or 2 findings that could be accomplished anyway through OSA's existing statutory authority. This is also a cost savings measure and also an efficiency measure. The cost for the audit has increased 72% in recent years, meaning that funds expended for this audit could be used in other audit applications. So we'd ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Wook?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was a no vote in committee on this, and I just needed a little more time to look into the bill. I thought there was something I was missing, but I just want to let you know this is, getting rid of some bureaucracy, and I'm going to change my vote to yes vote. So thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1054? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. House Bill 1054 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1029.
House Bill 1029 by Representative Basenecker, also Senator Kipp, concerning the scope of municipal authority over land that a municipality acquires that is outside its municipal limits.
Jesus. I'm sorry. Sorry. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move House Bill 1029 till after House Bill 1076.
Okay, we will lay over House Bill 1029 until after House Bill 1076. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1076.
House Bill 1076 by Representatives Basenecker and Lindsay, also Senators Cutter and Simpson, concerning documents related to the division of motor vehicles.
Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1076 and the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee report.
To the committee report. Representative Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In THLG, we added 3 amendments, L001, 2, and 3. One of them references vehicle document piracy infractions. Another one changed the credential issuance transaction. And we did this because that creates extra work and complexities for frontline staff in driver's license offices. And then our third amendment gave the department authority to cancel a driver's license if it's found to have been created through fraud. And with that, we ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee report? Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A lot of good discussion, a lot of good things in this bill. I do have one minor amendment that I would like to move to the Transportation, Housing and Local Government report on House Bill 25-1076.
Okay, Representative Richardson, can you say, I move Amendment L and whatever your amendment number is,
I move Amendment L004 to the,
and ask that it be displayed?
and ask that it be properly displayed.
That's proper motion.
Thank you, ma'am. This is a very simple amendment. Okay.
I can't see that. Okay. Is it, okay. Amendment L4 is properly displayed. To the amendment, Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very simple amendment. I'm just asking that we strike the word dollar and replace it with the penny. The people of Colorado are being nickeled and dimed by fees every single day. I believe our computers are strong enough to create a bill to the penny versus the dollar. I ask for a yes vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on L4? Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to my colleague for bringing the amendment. I just wanted to give a little more justification on why we landed on the language we did and why we're asking for a no vote on this amendment. The requirement to collect cents as part of a credential issuance transaction creates extra work and complexities for frontline staff in our driver's license offices. The collection, depositing, and accounting of cents requires specific business processes, physical cash stores, and extra labor to assist customers. It increases risk of errors. The extra time used in handling and accounting for change could be better used to assist customers, perform DMV functions, and streamline cash drawer management. The amendment doesn't require any immediate fee change, but it simply results in future fee change requests from being made in whole dollar amounts. So it's an efficiency and actually a cost savings measure. I do understand why my colleague brought the amendment. We would respectfully ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion on L4? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. The amendment fails. To the committee report. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. The committee report passes or is adopted. To the bill. Representative Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a bill that came out of the Transportation Legislative Review Committee, which is an interim committee, a joint session between the House and the Senate, where we get presentations from all things mattering to our department, and this one came up as an issue. And we chose it as a committee to bring it to the 2025 session. It is a bipartisan bill. It passed unanimously out of committee just a couple days ago. And it's basically a Department of Motor Vehicle omnibus bill that just took a bunch of things that needed fixes and put them in this one particular bill. Some of it has to do with piracy and fraud, with people creating documents, fake documents, and presenting them as real or selling them. That will make it better so that people aren't using those documents or being misleadingly purchasing them. We also, second on my list, and I've been doing this kind of work for a couple of years here at the Capitol, but with like minor driver requirements, as I've been training my 4 kids to drive, I've seen all kinds of hurdles that come up with that. One of them is the 50-hour driving log that under current statute has to be signed by a parent or a guardian. Not every child has access to that when they are getting driver trained. So this allows that another responsible adult could also be the one signing that log to make sure that kidlet gets safely on the road. Another piece of it has to deal with mobile ID. As many of you know, you can put your ID on an app so that you can access it and show it if you need it. This makes it so that mobile ID can be used to verify age and identity. Do you want to keep going?
Is it on? There we go. Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the other things that I would just highlight is it retires a few license plates that already are not available, some of which are not available because of safety concerns that our different veterans organizations have raised related to being able to quickly identify someone who's a Navy SEAL because of their license plate. That presents an immense security risk and also a personal security risk for those individuals. Those plates have been retired already, and we are simply taking them offline. And it also grants certain benefits to veterans through the bill, and you'll see that on page 5 to make sure that our veterans have equitable access access to some things and don't pay inordinate fees as a result of processes they'd have to go through anyway through the DMV. So I like that piece, as I have veterans in my family, and I really just think this is a common sense bill, a cost savings measure, and a government efficiency bill. We'd ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1076. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. House Bill 1076 is passed. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1029.
House Bill 1029 by Representative Basenecker, also Senator Kipp, concerning the scope of municipal authority over land that a municipality acquires that is outside its municipal limits.
The committee will go into brief recess. The committee will come back to order. Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1029 and the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the committee, we had a good discussion on the bill, the intent and focus of what we are and aren't looking to do. We made one amendment that struck some language related to eminent domain out of the bill. This is perfect and acceptable because the bill really doesn't contemplate those spaces, nor was it intended to place any sort of ag land in question. I do, however, have another amendment, so I move Amendment L5 to the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee report, and ask that it be properly displayed.
L5 is properly displayed to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This simply removes some additional language that we had missed on first pass on page 2, section 1. It basically removes all of that language from the bill, so there is no implication or cross-section of the bill in relation to eminent domain and the intended authority that we seek to grant for local governments to be able to care for their natural areas and open spaces. We'd ask for a yes vote.
Okay, is there any discussion on L5? Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just rise to support this amendment. I appreciate the sponsor accommodating our wishes in the discussion to strip any discussion of eminent domain from the bill as presented.
Is there any further discussion? We are on Amendment L5. Would you like to discuss the amendment? Okay, seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. L5 passes. To the committee report. Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Representative Sukla. All right, seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee report. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill really is a statutory cleanup, or at least a clarification that allows for a local government, municipality, to be able to send a park ranger or a similar authority if there's an issue at an open space or natural area that's not open to the public. And so right now there seems to be a lot of confusion about whether or not this is allowable. The bill seeks to simply clarify that legal interpretation and ensure that our natural areas and open spaces that are closed to the public don't require the response of a sheriff's officer, which can often be costly and add delay to if there's an imminent emergency in those spaces, but rather that the city of Fort Collins in this instance can set a park ranger to be able to respond to things like someone has built a BMX ramp in a closed natural area, which sounds like a lot of fun, and I hate to be the person to burst that bubble, but it's also imminently dangerous for folks, and we want to make sure that people are protected and safe in those spaces. The bill has a number of other clarifications in it, but that is the basic intent, to really make sure that at the end of the day, our natural areas and open spaces are safe, protected, and especially those ones that are close to the public and outside municipal boundaries, which is where the tension lies, that we can send an appropriate response and save resources elsewhere. So I would ask for a yes vote.
Is there any discussion on House Bill 1029? Representative Sukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm finally trying to figure out how to get this right.
You got it.
I want to discuss part of the bill, and then what it has to do with is it talks about where that any municipality, which I love my municipalities, but any municipality can, if this bill passes, and say that the municipality goes out in the county and they buy this land, in this amendment or in this bill, it states that 300 feet of the perimeter of this park that they have bought, the city, cannot be built on the other private property. So any structure can't be built for advertisement purposes. In my opinion, that is a private property rights taking, and any landowner that borders this new park has their hands tied, and the city has actually used their power to take 300 feet of the private property that surrounds the park. So I move L007 to HB 251029 and ask that it be properly displayed, an amendment.
Great job on that motion. L7 is properly displayed. To the amendment. Representative Sukla, do you want to explain anything else, or did you explain it before you moved it?
I think for my first time, we better leave it there, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any discussion on Amendment L7? Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to ask for a no vote on this. Not only does this amendment strike some contemplated changes that the bill makes, it also strikes existing municipal authority in this regard, and I think that is not a concept that has been stakeholdered. This is actually a valuable authority for our municipalities to have, to be able to regulate this. So the bill goes far past the contemplated changes that the bill seeks to make, and actually would strike against existing authority that our municipalities already have in law. That is something that I think would merit far deeper discussion. I would be opposed likely to that concept anyway, but with respect to my colleague, I appreciate the amendment. We ask for a no vote.
Representative Sukla.
I was told when I came up here that what you should do is don't look at the bill at the very first. You should look at after all the amendments go through the bill. The problem that I have with it is I believe that the bill itself projects something. And so in the original content of the bill, it talked about eminent domain, and it was a whole page about eminent domain and the city's right to go out there and take anybody's private property at will in the name of a public good. I believe that this bill right here has to do with private property rights, and I ask for an aye vote for my amendment. Thank you.
Representative Richardson.
I do speak in support of this amendment and urge its passage. I know this was not the original intent of the bill, and I appreciate the sponsor's discussion of that, but when you're talking about property that is within 300 feet of that municipal park, that is property in the unincorporated areas of a county. In this case, we're giving a municipality the authority to dictate land use in the unincorporated areas of a county, and I think that is problematic. I think it would be best to strike this language, and if there's some intent that we're not seeing in this, that it could be reinserted or discussed and put in another bill at a future date. So I do urge an aye vote on this amendment.
AML Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also urge an aye vote on this amendment. It is a private property rights issue, and my understanding is that it would be striking something that is existing in statute, but I think that's a good thing. Private property rights are a huge thing. In House District 47, we have the Pinon Canyon Maneuver Site, and that was taken by straight eminent domain. A lot of farmers and ranchers lost their land, and then also we have the Trinidad Dam that was created to keep Trinidad from flooding, and that property was taken by eminent domain as well. So it's a really hot topic in my district. I'm a staunch advocate of private property rights, and I think to try to make sure that as a landowner and a landowner's son that has to deal with issues where people want to come onto your private property for any given reason, it makes it really tough to be able to see that somebody can say, we're going to come up in on your property and proceed with business as usual. So I would ask you to support the amendment of my good colleague from the Southwest. Thank you.
Representative Barone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Talking to my colleagues over here, I also support this amendment. Please ask for an aye vote. Private property rights is very important to the people, especially in the rural areas up north in my district. So I also urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? We are still to the question of Amendment L7. Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. The amendment fails. To the bill, is there any further discussion? Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L006 to HB 25-1029 and ask that it properly be displayed.
Okay, L6 is properly displayed to the amendment. Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This simple amendment, just asking that the petition clause be substituted for the safety clause that is in the current bill. I understand that this is a public safety matter and the ability to clarify response to parks outside the incorporated areas of towns, but that authority already exists. I come from a county where the sheriff covers 2 incorporated towns that choose not to have a police force. It's very easy to enter into an IGA between the county and the town and the dispatching services to determine who should be dispatched. I think in every case possible, we should allow the people to have a voice in the laws that we pass. Thank you.
Representative, is there any discussion on L6? Representative Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to my colleague for bringing the amendment. Normally, I wouldn't disagree. However, the process to have an IGA in place obviously takes far longer than it takes even now to get a sheriff's officer to respond to an emergency in one of these situations. And we do actually believe there is imminent public health and safety implications if there's something going on at one of these open spaces outside of a municipal boundary that would require or at least should merit a more immediate response than is potentially possible right now, depending upon the resources of a local sheriff's department. So I love the idea of an IGA. That has simply not happened. This bill is one way to fix that. We do think there is a nexus between public peace, health, and safety, which is why a safety clause is an appropriate utilization for this bill, and I would ask for a no vote on the amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L6? Seeing none, you ready? Representative Sukla, come on down to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. again, the safety clause is actually put there so that if the people think that this is a bad bill, they are not allowed to put it on the ballot and vote. We are taking the voice of the voter away by putting the safety clause on this issue. We've already broke a private property right if this bill passes, and that is my point on this issue.
Thank you. Okay, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L6. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. The amendment fails. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion on House Bill 1029, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel. Hold on one second. Please read the title to House Bill 1019.
House Bill 1019 by Representative Sirota, also Senator Henriksen, concerning third-party administration of programs for persons experiencing homelessness that are overseen by the Division of Housing and the Department of Local Affairs.
Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1019.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a very simple technical fix that we are in need of making expeditiously. For your reference, in November of 22, the Colorado voters passed Proposition 123 that authorized the state to retain money to support affordable housing investment. 60% of those dollars go to OEDIT, 40% go to DOLA, and of that 40% in DOLA, 50% of it goes to affordable home ownership, 45% goes to homelessness programs, and that is the section that we are dealing with here. The affordable home ownership provision in statute has a provision that allows the department to contract with a third party to administer these programs, but the homelessness section is silent on this ability. And so this bill simply rectifies that omission to allow the department to contract with a third party to administer homelessness programs, which the department already does with other federal and state funds, and this is simply making it allowable for the use of Proposition 123 funds. The reason that it is urgent that we make this fix now is that one of the homelessness programs that we will be funding with the $123 is the Colorado Emergency Rental Assistance Program, which is essentially the third iteration of such a program now utilizing these dollars. But in order to not have any lapse in this programming and service delivered to thousands of our constituents, it is imperative that we make this, this statutory change immediately. So I ask for your aye vote.
Is there any discussion on House Bill 1019? Seeing none, okay. Can we, God help me out. God bless, come on, Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the help, and I will do my best to help you. I do rise with one amendment. I move L002 to House Bill 25-1019 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Okay, Amendment L2 is properly displayed. To the amendment, Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a little concern. There is obviously a homeless problem in this state and in the metro areas predominantly, and a lot of money is being pushed out. There are very few people, very few entities that have the capability to manage this amount of money. We have seen reports of some agencies, some organizations that have received money from other governments that have not handled it well in the past. Now, that might be discovered later under audit and be returned for reuse. That money during that process isn't going to help the folks that it was intended to. So this amendment is just an ask, a direction to DOLA that they ensure that past performance history is assessed as part of their selection process for any third-party contractor. And I ask for your support in this.
Representative, the discussion is on the amendment. Representative Barone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also asked for an aye vote on this amendment. My concern, and I voiced my concern in SMART Act hearings and in the committee, that the oversight is important to this. I wasn't very too happy with the SMART Act committee with being given the information we were asked to see if these monetary regulations that are, or the monetary that's coming out of DOLA is being used correctly, and if it's even actually working. This amendment will help with that, to be able to hold those third-party organizations accountable for what they have to report to us, so we can make a better legislative decisions on if that money is being used correctly and if it's being used, if it's even working. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion? AML Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to follow up with what my good colleague from the north said. I mean, in a budgetary year that we're looking at now, as we are continually asking the governor and departments to cut back, I think it's good for some oversight in this matter to make sure that the monies are being spent properly, and that we can, as a legislature and a state, take a look at what's going on. I think it's not very good for us to give oversight off. I mean, I urge an aye vote on this. I think it's really important that we have the ability to dig into this, and there are some checks and balances on this. Thank you.
Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to share with my colleagues that when it comes to administering contracts with a third party, the state has a lot of protections in place. The procurement process, for example, with the state government is no small thing to go through. There is a contracting process. We have the state controller. We have the state auditor. So these things are, they're not shoved in a drawer and forgotten. And also, with regard to this particular ask, there is a contract management system that the departments use, and they do, when they are going through the procurement process, they rank applicants, and that piece of information is reflected there to know how did these grant processes work with this entity in other prior grants. So, but if it makes the good representative feel better, I am happy to accept this amendment. Belt and suspenders, no problem. So an aye vote is okay with me.
All right. Any further discussion on Amendment L2? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The amendment passes. To the bill. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1019? Is there any further? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1019. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. 1019 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1058.
House Bill 1058 by Representative Bradfield, also Senator Michelson Janae, concerning modifications to the affirmative defense of not guilty by reason of insanity.
Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move House Bill 1058 and the committee report, Judiciary Committee report as amended.
Okay, to the committee report.
Okay. In the committee, the bill was discussed and amendment was proposed. That amendment was, the purpose of the amendment was to strike some of the language in the bill and bring it back to what is current statute.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The committee report is passed. To the bill, Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a bill that came out of the interim committee, Legislative Oversight Committee, concerning the treatment of persons with behavioral health disorders in the criminal and juvenile justice systems. This bill addresses the change to the defense of not guilty by reason of insanity. The bill seeks to modify the procedures and criteria related to individuals who use this defense in criminal cases. Involuntary commitment. If an individual is found not guilty by reason of insanity, the bill proposes adjustments to how and when they can be involuntarily committed to a mental health facility. This idea is to ensure that the individual who may pose a danger due to mental illness receives appropriate care while also protecting public safety. Evaluation and treatment. This bill clarifies how the evaluation process works and establishes requirements for treatment and review, emphasizing that treatment needs to be effective and ongoing. This bill changes the legal standards. The bill revises some legal standards and conditions under which the NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity, defense can be used, aiming to ensure that the mental health condition is directly linked to the criminal behavior. Public safety and risk. This bill places a strong focus on assessing the risk of reoffending and public safety concerns, possibly modifying how long someone can be held in treatment after being found not guilty by reason of insanity. Overall, this is a cleanup bill from the committee and is the first of two bills that will be done cleaning up statute, bringing it up to current standards and as requested by district attorneys from across the state. I urge an aye vote on this bill. My co-prime, thank you very much for working with me on this, is going to describe how this bill is also new.
Representative English. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to add to what my co-prime Representative Bradfield has already stated, but updating the system is about providing a fair chance to those affected by mental illness. People with severe mental health conditions often struggle to control their actions or fully comprehend the consequences of their behavior. Without a proper understanding of these conditions in the legal process, these individuals may face harsh and unfair sentences that don't take their mental state into account. An updated system would ensure that those who are found not guilty by reason of insanity are treated with the appropriate care and support they need rather than being subjected to punitive measures that don't address the root cause of their actions. And House Bill 251058 repeals the use of narcoanalytic interviews and polygraph examinations and sanity evaluations, because those are things that we don't use anymore, which is why the update is needed. And so studies by the American Psychological Association have found these methods to lack scientific validity. Eliminating these practices ensures that assessments are based on reliable, modern, forensic psychiatric techniques. With more than 40% of incarcerated individuals having a history of mental illness, House Bill 251058 introduces reform that humanizes the legal process for defendants with mental health conditions, contributing to systemic improvements in how behavioral health is addressed in the criminal justice system. And lastly, what I would like to say is this aligns with broader justice reforms. House Bill 251058 reflects national trends toward reducing the criminalization of mental illness and implementing reforms that emphasize treatment over punishment. The legislation positions Colorado as a leader in humane and evidence-based approaches to mental health within the criminal justice system.
By emphasizing these scientific evidence, public health principles, and the dignity of individuals, House Bill 1058 creates a framework of fairness, accuracy, and compassion in the evaluation and treatment of defendants with mental health disorders.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? We are to the bill on House Bill 1058. Representative Armagost.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My issue in committee on this bill in judiciary was just there was a lot of confusion. There were amendments that were made. There were things that were in the bill that needed more clarification. Some of those questions didn't get answered. There were a few of us that weren't comfortable voting in favor of the bill. Still feeling uncomfortable, but I will be having those conversations with the bill sponsors. But yeah, I do like the intent and the purpose of this bill. I just didn't feel comfortable with some of the language in the bill. Slightly convoluted and otherwise not necessarily getting questions answered. So looking forward to conversations hopefully before thirds, but I'll probably be a no vote until then.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1058? Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In regard to Representative Armagos's concerns, this is the first bill of two that will be coming forward. The second one will come next year and will further bring our state statute into compliance, easy to read, more correct, everything in the right place at the right time. We urge an aye vote and appreciate your attention here today. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1058. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. No. House Bill 1058 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1015.
House Bill 1015 by Representatives Mabry and Zokai, also Senator Rodriguez, concerning clarifying changes to ensure that bond can be posted online.
Representative Zokai.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 251015.
To the bill.
Thank you. So online bond pay allows for increased accessibility, reduced detention time, and convenience. And it has also been required in Colorado since January 1st, 2022. Unfortunately, we have seen barriers to posting bond online, such as fines and fees, in some counties up to 10%, and limits on posting bond over certain amounts. And because of this, we have Coloradans that have remained jailed even when they can afford to post bond, especially in rural areas. So this is a cleanup bill that removes unnecessary obstacles that we currently have to online bond pay, and it applies existing bond posting requirements to online bond pay to ensure more consistent access. I think there's a lot more work that we need to do to create a more equitable system, but this is a step in the right direction. It also received unanimous support in judiciary, and I'm asking for this body's support today.
Representative Mabry.
Thank you, Amel Bacon. Members, this is the We Really Meant It bill. In 2021, the legislature allowed for the posting of bond online. Many counties are in compliance with it, some aren't. And actually, through the stakeholding in this bill, some that weren't previously have now updated their websites and are complying with what we put into law in 2021. But this legislation just adds some clarification to make it more simple for counties and sheriff's offices to comply. And we do have one amendment. And with that, I would like to I will move Amendment L2 to House Bill 1015 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Okay, L2 is properly displayed to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is an amendment that came out through part of our stakeholding process. Specifically, we met with the Sheriff's Office in Moffett County, and Moffett County said they are accepting the payment of a bond online, but the instructions on how to do that were not on their website. And so after our meeting with them, we just wanted to clarify, if you're already doing this, just post online how it's done. Moffat County has actually already done this since we've had the initial conversation with them, but we felt it was important to include this basic clarification. And with that, we ask for an aye vote on Amendment L002.
Is there any discussion on L2? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. L2 passes. To the bill. Representative Armagast. I don't know why I did that. Representative Armagast.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We heard this in committee. This was one of those bills that is a fix to a lot of issues. It is something that simplifies the process. For the time it takes for somebody to do this in person, that's an FTE, that's time that somebody's taken on their job. So having this online is a cost saver, it's an overall saver. The only issue I have with this bill is the sponsorship on this bill could have been easily bipartisan in this chamber where we're trying to push bipartisanship. So that's the only issue I have with the bill, but the bill itself is good, but bipartisan representation.
Hey, I hear you. We'll find something to work on.
Okay, Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also am an aye on this vote, on this bill, primarily because it actually is a cost savings for the state of Colorado. And for me, any cost savings that we can get at this point in time in the juncture is something that we definitely need to entertain and look at very, very strongly. So I do ask for an aye vote on it because it is saving us some money. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, this is our last bill for today. The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1015 as amended. Let's do it for the students. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1015 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Shebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1015 is amended, 1019 is amended, 1029 is amended, 1054, 1058 is amended, and 1076 is amended. Passed on second reading, ordered, reversed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Assistant Majority Leader Bacon.
I move the House adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole.
I believe there may be an amendment at the desk. The House will stand at a brief recess. The House will come back to order. Members, there is an amendment at the desk. Mr. Shebel, please read the Richardson amendment.
Representative Richardson moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Richardson Amendment L4 to House Bill 1076 to show that said amendment passed, that House Bill 1076 is amended passed.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate the accommodation.
You bet.
And to my fellow members, I move the amendment, the Richardson Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole and ask for an aye vote. While we did discuss this amendment earlier, I don't believe some of you were not present, so for the discussion. So I again ask that we amend the bill to allow the rounding to the penny, not to the whole dollar. I understand that will generate some additional work for our state employees. I treasure the work of our public servants. I know they are dedicated people, but if I have to decide between doing something for the good of the people, and that means not nickel and diming them on every fee that we present, or making work a little more work for our valued state employees, I'm going to side for the citizens and against nickel and diming. So I do ask for an aye vote from the Committee of the Whole. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
Members, I respectfully ask for a no vote on this amendment. Quite frankly, at the end of the day, it takes extra time, it adds government inefficiency, and it's a costly measure to be counting pennies. Instead of making change, we would like to make a change in our current policy, which means optimizing government efficiency and not having cash drawers and other things that are prone to error. We ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the Richardson Amendment to House Bill 1076. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Leader Luck Lukens is excused. Story. Please close the machine. With 19 aye, 40 no, 5 excused, and 1 vacancy, the amendment fails. The question before us is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Phillips and Story. Please close the machine. With 40 aye, 19 no, 5 excused, and 1 vacancy, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Members, we are to announcements and introductions. We have a number of announcements today. I'm going to start by celebrating the snow in Colorado. If you have a moment, get out for a ski. Sunlight Mountain Resort in Glenwood Springs. Where is Whip Velasco? 20 inches of new snow this week, so be sure you get out for some wonderful white powder. Representative Wilford. Nope, Representative Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've requested and received approval from the Majority Leader to be excused on Monday, January 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Thank you. So noted and approved. Representative Weinberg.
Good morning, fellow colleagues. General Assembly 75. You are all privileged this morning because we are joined by the Thompson Valley High School in the city of Loveland. If you could please rise. Now let me tell you why you are privileged and why Loveland continues to be the greatest city in the state of Colorado. For Loveland. These gents, these monsters around here. State championship 3A for the state of Colorado. State championship, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise and give them a round of applause. Not only was it a sweep, 14-0, not one loss for these fine gentlemen, not one, in the history of this school. Additionally, we are joined by the coaches of these fine men, as well as Jamie Steele, who was the Colorado State Coach of the Year, again, from Loveland, none of your cities, from Loveland. And I would love to introduce the rest of the coaches. Ken Fancinelli, Tim Talley, Travis Lease, Larry Chase, Jeff Mott, and Noah Harold. Congratulations, gentlemen. Last but not least, an additional honor. We have the stepson of the late and great Hugh McKean, our prior minority leader, and the gentleman I ended up in the seat. So Keenan, if you could raise your hand and be recognized. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Go Eagles.
Thank you, Rep. Congratulations to Thompson Valley High School. Representative Clifford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is so exciting for me to let the chamber know. I think they come and gone from the chamber, but if you see 104 fourth graders from Willow Creek Elementary running around the Capitol today, say hello to them. Thank you.
Woohoo! Appreciate it. Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is a great honor that I recognize that today is the 11th anniversary of the Rocky Mountain Police and Fire Chaplains. They were here at the Capitol today to give prayer, to make sure that we all know that they are thinking of us, and it is a day to recognize those who serve us and keep us safe. They truly do serve the badge, and it was a great honor to have them here in the great Capitol and to have their service. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I remember to sign up today, so that's an improvement from last time. I have a favor to ask all of you. As you know, there's a critical need across Colorado for blood donations. Our emergency rooms, our healthcare providers, and our first responders rely upon these to save lives. And so so we're having a blood drive. We're competing with the Senate. So if you would like to sign up, I have information about how you can do that. There's going to be a fully staffed mobile donation RV parked on the east side of the Capitol on Tuesday, February 4th from 8 to 1. And, you know, if we donate more blood, then we win, and we're the better chamber. So I hope you guys can help support our first responders and beat the Senate for a good cause. So thank you.
Representative Martinez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Joint House Education will be meeting immediately or 10 minutes upon adjournment.
Thank you. Assistant Minority Leader Winter and Representative McCormick, I'm guessing I know what you're about to say.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't know how you would even imagine what we would say. Though, tonight is the junior livestock sale, as you've heard for a week and a half now. And we've done really well here in the House. I don't have the score of how the Senate has done, but thank you all for your contributions. You were very generous, and I hope that we can come back on Monday and report which kid we helped and if we have helped with a goat or a pig or what we've helped with. And so thank you all for your contributions, and I do hope you stay safe this snowy weekend.
Assistant Minority Leader Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Last weekend to go to the stock show. Please go to the stock show. Thank those who feed you. And with that, I'd also like to ask you all, it's a little early, I'll remind you all next week, but the Colorado Independent Cattle Growers are here for their Advocacy Day on the 29th. They'll be downstairs. These are really good people. And, you know, last year we had a really good turnout from both sides of the aisle to come talk to these men and women that do what they do. So mark it on your calendar. There's a flyer on your desk. I'd sure appreciate it if you'd stop by and say howdy. Thank you very much, and yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Woo! Representative McCormick.
Yeah, just to tag on to that, thank you, Madam Speaker, is there's a lunch. So food is always appreciated, so there's a lunch on that day as well. So see the flyer on your desk. And thanks for the funds.
Excellent. I have no further announcements. Representative, both of you. Okay, Representative Ferre and Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
So granted.
Thank you. This is my first time in the well. I'm very nervous. I wanted to clarify that I actually intended to vote no on SJR 25004, and I thought we were voting on the resolution, not the amendment, and so I just wanted to clarify that with all of you, and I spoke with Rep. Luck and just wanted to acknowledge that on the record for you all. So thank you, and have mercy on the new girl.
Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I asked to be able to join the representative from Arvada, I believe, to come down here and, since it's a Friday, give my affirmation as connected to what she just shared. For those who are new in this place, it's very easy to make mistakes, to get lost in the weeds, to offend one another, and it's very easy to start to take offense because someone didn't support something or didn't agree with you on something. There is a lot of passion in the policies we put forward, a lot of belief and love in the things that we do, and to have others say no, thanks, can be a hard thing. And yet, I think it's important for us to recognize that while we may disagree with each other on policy, and ardently so, that we can still love each other as people. And so I just want to stand up here with the representative from Arvada and say that though she didn't intend to vote for my amendment today, that there is nothing between us relationally that has changed, that we are still going to grow, hopefully in friendship as well as in collegiality, because I genuinely believe, as I do think she does too, that we all are amazing and loved and worthy and adored, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, members, we do have some business to tend to. You are free to leave the chamber. We will Mr. Schiebel, printing report.
The Chief Clerk reports the following bills have been correctly printed: House Bills 1090, 1091, and 1092.
The printing report will be printed in the Journal. Introduction of resolution.
House Joint Resolution 1006 by Representatives McCormick and Johnson, also Senators Pelton, B, and Roberts, concerning the designation of Colorado 4-H Day.
Resolution 1006 will be laid over one day under House rules. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in adjournment until Monday, January 27th at 10 a.m.
The House will stand adjourned until Monday, January 27th at 10 a.m.